decoding the fundamentals of crypto, one block at a time. Welcome to Chain Insights, where we analyze and break down the core principles of exciting crypto projects using cutting-edge AI tools. Always remember that our content is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice.
All right, strap in everyone because today we are taking a deep dive into the Render Network.
Yeah, this is a platform that's really turning heads in the digital creation world, and we've got a stack of sources to break down.
Oh yeah, we've got the project's white paper, insights straight from the Render Network Foundation, and we'll even get into some real-world examples of how it's all playing out.
What really hooks me about the Render Network is how it's tackling this huge problem that's been holding back creatives forever.
You mean like,
Access to powerful computing, for rendering, especially when we're talking high quality 3D.
I see. It's like trying to bake a wedding cake with an easy bake oven.
Pretty much. And this isn't just about big studios trying to make the next blockbuster.
It's about anyone, right? Artists, game devs,
architects, yep. Even folks working on AI-powered projects, all of them need serious rendering power.
Yeah, and right now the system, well, it's not exactly the best.
Yeah, you either have to spend a fortune to build your own rendering farm or
You're stuck relying on cloud services, which can get pricey, and even then they still have limitations.
Exactly. And because of all that, so much potential is just gonna waste.
And it's not just the creative potential, right? Think about all those super powerful GPUs just sitting idle in homes and offices.
Millions of them.
It's crazy. All this processing power just waiting to be used, and that is where the Render Network steps in.
Think of it like an Airbnb, but for GPUs, people can rent out their idle graphics cards to the creators who desperately need that power for rendering.
So like while I'm sleeping, my gaming PC could be earning me money by helping someone create the next big animated film.
That's the idea.
Okay, that's seriously cool, but how does it actually all work? Like, take me through the process.
So it all starts with this special file format they use called ORBX.
ORBX.
This is kind of like a blueprint. It breaks down the 3D scene into smaller pieces that can be rendered separately on different machines.
Okay, so like a recipe that's split up so different chefs can work on different parts at the same time?
Precisely. This allows for parallel processing, and that speeds up the whole rendering process big time.
I can imagine.
And to make sure everything stays high quality, the network has this reputation system, kind of like the seller ratings on eBay.
Gotcha. So the better a node performs.
The more work it gets, creating this self-regulating system that always prioritizes the machines that are reliable and pumping out good work.
Makes sense. But let's talk brass tacks here. Why should our listener care about the Render Network? What's the big deal for them?
The beauty is it's a win-win for both sides, creators and these node operators.
Right, because for creators, it means they finally have access to affordable and scalable rendering power.
Exactly. They can bring their vision to life without having to break the bank.
So it's kind of like leveling the playing field, making a high-end 3D creation accessible to, well, everyone.
Exactly. And on the other side, you've got these node operators. For them, it's a chance to earn some passive income just by sharing their unused GPU power.
It's turning your game rig into a little moneymaker while you're not even using it. I love that idea.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. The Render Network isn't just about basic rendering. It's also making big waves in the NFT space, the metaverse, you name it.
Well, yeah, we were talking about AI earlier. It feels like they're really at the forefront of all this new tech.
Absolutely. For example, they're being used to create NFTs with built-in proof of ownership, to combat all the fraud and fakes out there.
Yeah, that's huge for artists and collectors. Makes a ton of sense.
For the metaverse, which, needs these crazy complex 3D environments, the Render Network is making those experiences so much richer and more immersive.
It's like they're supplying the horsepower for the entire metaverse.
And you can't forget about the impact on AI. Render Network is being used to train and run those AI models that need so much computing power.
So this isn't just about fancy visuals. It's about pushing the boundaries of what AI can do.
And of course, the Render Network has its own cryptocurrency too, RNDR.
Yeah. How's that been doing?
It's had its ups and downs like a lot of cryptos, but the team's been working on ways to keep it stable for the long haul.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot of ground already, but I feel like we're just getting started.
There's always more to explore.
Let's dig deeper into how the Render Network is actually built and how it all works behind the scenes after a quick break.
Sounds good to me.
Stay with us, folks. Things are about to get even more interesting after the break.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the render network.
Before the break, we were talking about how this network is really pushing the envelope in so many areas.
Yeah, it's really quite something.
But let's zoom in for a second. How does it actually work? What's going on under the hood?
Well, it all starts with the nodes.
For nodes, right?
These are the individual computers that are contributing all their GPU power to the network.
Ah, okay.
Anyone can become a node operator.
Really? Anyone?
Pretty much, as long as you have a decent GPU and a stable internet connection.
So if I've got like an old gaming PC sitting around, I could actually put it to work and earn some R&DR tokens.
You'd be helping out these cutting-edge projects and earning some rewards on the side.
That's awesome. Sign me up.
And all these nodes, they're connected in a peer-to-peer network,
Peer-to-peer. Okay.
meaning they can all talk to each other directly, no need for a central server.
So it's not like one big brain controlling everything. It's more like a network of brains all working together.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
This decentralized setup, it's what makes the render network so resilient and scalable.
Ah, I see. Because there's no single point of failure.
Exactly. And the more nodes that join, the more powerful the whole network becomes.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's a pretty ingenious system.
It is. It is. But let's switch gears for a sec and talk about the creators, the people actually making stuff.
Right, right.
How do they interact with this whole network of nodes,
Well, that's where the render network platform comes in.
the platform?
It's like a user-friendly hub where creators can upload their 3D scenes, choose all their rendering settings, and submit their jobs to the network.
So it's like a one-stop shop for all their rendering needs.
Exactly. The platform handles all the complicated stuff behind the scenes, automatically distributing the work to the available nodes.
Based on their reputation and all that.
Yep, creators don't have to worry about managing individual nodes or any of the technical details.
They just submit their work and let the network do its thing.
It's that easy.
That's pretty amazing. But what about security?
Good question.
We're talking about potentially sensitive creative work here. 3D models, maybe even intellectual property.
Right, and they've taken that very seriously.
So how does the render network keep all that stuff safe?
Well, there are multiple layers of security built in. For starters, all communication between the nodes and the platform is encrypted.
Encrypted, okay.
So it's basically scrambled and unreadable to anyone without the key.
So it's like sending a top-secret message that only the intended recipient can decode.
Exactly. And on top of that, the 3D scenes themselves get broken down into smaller chunks, and each chunk gets its own unique digital fingerprint.
Interesting. So it's like a built-in alarm system for your creative work.
And to protect intellectual property even further, they have features like watermarking and access control.
So creators have a lot of control over who can see and download their work.
Full control.
That's good to hear. That's reassuring. But, okay, we've talked about the nodes and how creators use the network.
Right.
But what about the money side of things?
The financial side. Yeah.
We mentioned earlier that the node operators earn those R&DR tokens.
Right.
Can you break down how that whole token economy works?
Sure. The render network uses something called the burn and mint equilibrium model, or BME for short.
BME. Okay, that sounds kind of complicated.
It sounds more complicated than it is.
Is it like a magic trick or something?
Kind of. When a creator wants to submit a job, they pay for it using stable coins like USDC.
Stable coins, so they're pegged to the US dollar, right?
Right, so pricing stays predictable and avoids all the volatility we often see with crypto.
Makes sense. But so the creator pays in stable coins, but the node operator gets rewarded in RNDR.
Exactly.
Okay, and how does that work?
Well, the platform uses those stablecoin funds to buy RNDR tokens from the open market and then burns them.
Burns them. What does that mean?
It means they're permanently removed from circulation.
So why burn them? It seems counterintuitive.
That's the clever part. Burning tokens reduces the overall supply of RNDR.
Which in turn helps maintain its value.
Exactly. At the same time, the network is minting or creating new RNDR tokens to reward those node operators.
Ah, okay. So it's all about finding that balance.
A constant balancing act, ensuring there's just the right amount of RNDR out there to keep the whole economy humming along.
I'm starting to get it. And this BME model, it keeps both sides happy, right? Creators get reliable and affordable rendering.
And node operators get rewarded for contributing their computing power.
Everyone wins. It's a really smart system.
It is. They've really thought this through, not just the tech itself, but the whole ecosystem around it.
Exactly. But what about the future? What's next for the render network?
Well, they're constantly evolving, like any good technology should.
Of course, they have to stay ahead of the curve.
One of the big things they're working on is integrating AI.
AI. Okay.
which could completely revolutionize rendering as we know it.
Oh, wow. In what way?
Imagine AI algorithms automatically optimizing scenes, boosting image quality, even generating brand new 3D assets.
Wait, so AI that can basically do the creative work for you.
That's the potential. And Render Network could be at the forefront of this whole AI-powered creative revolution.
That's mind-blowing stuff. I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It does, doesn't it? But this is the future we're talking about here, and it's closer than you think.
This is getting me really excited, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring things back down to earth a little bit.
Back to reality.
Let's talk about how the render network is being used right now to create some seriously impressive visuals.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so we're back. And I'm still thinking about AI doing all the creative work for us.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to imagine.
But let's get back to reality for a minute and see how the render network is already shaking things up.
It's really exciting to see how it's being used across so many different fields.
Oh yeah, like where?
Well, for starters, the world of film and visual effects.
Film and visual effects. Okay.
Its Render Network has already been used on some really big-name projects like Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix.
Wait, Love, Death, and Robots. That show with the crazy visuals and all the different stories?
The one and only?
No way. I had no idea they were using the render network for that.
Yep, the studio behind it, Blur Studio, they used it to tackle those super complex scenes and all the special effects.
I can imagine there's a lot going on in that show.
It let them get this level of detail and realism that would have been so much harder and way more expensive to do the old way.
That's incredible. So this technology is literally helping bring these amazing stories to life.
And pushing the boundaries of what we can see on screen.
And it's not just limited to these big studios, right?
Yeah, not at all.
You were saying independent artists are using it too.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, Beeple, the digital artist who made a killing in the NFT world.
Beeple, the guy who sold an NFT for like millions of dollars.
That's him. He's been a big supporter of the Render Network, uses it for his own work.
Seriously, what does he use it for?
He's used it to create a bunch of his everyday's artworks, those pieces with the super detailed 3D scenes and animations.
Those are wild. I can see why he needs some serious rendering power.
The Render Network being so affordable and accessible has let him experiment and create without those crazy costs that a lot of artists have to deal with.
This is blowing my mind. It really feels like the render network is changing the game for everyone.
Yeah, it's giving everyone a shot at creating something incredible.
And you were saying earlier that the render network is being used for more than just visual effects and digital art.
Right, it's making a big impact on architecture and design as well.
Oh, interesting. Like how?
Well, for example, HOK, the architecture firm, they design some of the most iconic buildings in the world.
I know HOK. Yeah. What are they doing with the render network?
They're using it to create these incredibly realistic visualizations of their projects.
So instead of just looking at boring blueprints,
clients can actually experience a virtual walkthrough of the building before it's even built.
That's amazing. And that's a game changer for them.
It really helps architects get their ideas across and lets clients really understand the space.
And of course, we can't forget about the metaverse.
Right, we touched on that earlier.
How's the render network involved in that?
Companies like OTOY are using it to build platforms that let creators build and share these immersive metaverse experiences.
So we're talking about creating whole virtual worlds here that people can explore and interact with.
All powered by this decentralized network.
Virtual concerts, conferences, even cities, all rendered in amazing detail thanks to the render network.
The possibilities are pretty much endless.
Yeah, this is next level stuff. I'm starting to see how the render network could be the foundation of a whole new era of digital creation.
It's all happening now. It's not some far-off fantasy.
As we wrap up, what are the big takeaways you want our listeners to remember?
I think the most important thing is that the Render Network is solving a real problem,
That need for affordable and accessible computing power.
Exactly. It's something that's been holding back creativity and innovation in so many fields.
And by decentralizing the whole process.
The Render Network is empowering creators and those with those idle GPUs to be part of something truly groundbreaking.
It's a win-win for everyone. And it's already having a huge impact on visual media, art, design, everything.
And with AI and the metaverse getting bigger and bigger, the Render Network is in a perfect position to shape the future.
I agree. It's really exciting to think about.
It's an incredible time to be in this space.
This has been an amazing journey. I've learned so much.
You too?
I feel like I understand the power of decentralized tech in a whole new way.
It's incredible what we can achieve when we work together.
Absolutely. So there you have it. That was our deep dive into the render network.
Hopefully everyone learned a thing or two.
And if you want to learn more, check out the links in the show notes.
There's a ton of resources out there.
You can find out more about the network, the RNDR token, all those cool projects that are using this tech to create the future.
Keep exploring, keep creating, and keep pushing the limits.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Until next time.
If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more deep dives into crypto fundamentals, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow.